national account managers here. That doesn't just refer to my age. I have been here for over 6 years. Previous to that, I've been involved in some aspect of the horticultural industry for the last 30 years. I've had extensive experience in both wholesale and retail growing, and I'd be happy to share with you anything that I might know. First, a little bit about our company. Here at FarmTech, or Grower Supply, we're a two-point campus where our corporate headquarters are located in South Windsor. That's the slide at the top of the picture. Our call center is there as well as our corporate offices. You can see from the picture we also have some of our buildings set up, both our clearspan buildings, and there are also some greenhouses here, which we're pretty excited about. The bottom picture is our Dyersville, Iowa campus. It's currently used to manufacture all of our clearspan vision buildings and our greenhouses. And again, in Iowa, we're proud of our new technology center. It's a 2-bay house that's total polycarbonate. It's part of our Series 2000 series. And as Nicole said, it's where we do the majority of our hydroponic growing. We're going to talk about why spring is so important and getting ready for it. Of course, all of us in the industry know that once spring starts, you really have no time to do anything else for yourself or anyone else. So it's very important to be prepared early so that indeed when things need to be done, they are done, and you don't have to worry about taking the time out of your busy schedule. So we're looking to eliminate problems that may occur later on. Again, it's still early enough in the season when you have time to deal with any of the problems that may exist. It's also a time for you to sit down, take a deep breath, because this is the last time you're going to get a chance to do that, and pre-order or take advantage of any pre-season sales. Again, it keeps you ahead of the game, and it makes sure that you'll have the time so that if you pre-order, get what you want when you want to do it. Inspecting your greenhouses is something that's very important. Again, if you winterized and tucked your system down at the end of the season, you should be in pretty good shape. But again, at this time, you want to take the time to walk around the house, make sure that there's no cracks or leaks in either the polycarbonate, or you also want to make sure that there's no holes that have occurred in your greenhouse film. You want to double check all your connections to make sure that everything is nice and tight. You want to make sure that if there are any cracks, you fill those with some silicone if it's polycarbonate, or again, greenhouse repair tape for your polyfilm houses. And again, I want to stress that carry a wonderful greenhouse repair tape that's specifically made for greenhouse film. So if indeed you have holes, it does behoove you to have a handy roll on hand so that when you need it, you'll be prepared. You want to be able to save money in the early spring, so you want to make sure that, again, you're buttoned up so that any heating or cooling or venting that you're going to need later on in the season will be ready to go. You want to make sure that your crops come through the season in saleable condition. So again, you want to make sure that indeed when it starts to get warm in the house, you've got enough ventilation and the ventilation is working properly. It helps to avoid any kind of impasses down the road. And again, you'll still have the time to make any kind of adjustments that need to be made while you still have time, so you can be proactive rather than reactive. Again, good time to check your up and down or roll up and drop down sides to make sure they're all in working order, and make sure that everything is nice and ready to be opened, and so that you'll have adequate ventilation. Again, your vents and shutters, you want to take the time to uncover all your vents and shutters that you've covered for the wintertime. You also want to make sure you grease or lubricate for smoother operation. Make sure that there's no obstructions so that the vents are all free moving. You want to make sure that your connections to all your thermostats are are intact. And again, double check that your screening material that you've placed over your vents are secure and rip-free. Fan blades need to be checked to make sure that they're not frozen and that they move easily. And again, at this time, it's really a good time to check for any kinds of nests, bird nests, or insect nesting that may have occurred during the off-season. Shade cloth is something that's very important. And again, it's one of those items that when you need it, you need to have it on hand. Make sure that there's no holes in it so that you do have uniform shading in the areas that you're going to need it for. Again, once you have your sides vented, you want to make sure that the shade cloth will have secure connections so that the sun doesn't sunburn your plants. Shade cloth is very important throughout all the areas of the country. Normally, I don't recommend going anything higher than a 50% shade cloth because you don't want to shade out too much of the light intensity so that your crops don't grow correctly. We do offer percentages ranging from 30 to 90. The reason that we do that is, again, some shady plants will take a little bit more than that 50%. Rhododendrons, azaleas, and we also provide a lot of shade for people and animals. That's usually required in the 70 to 80 to 90%. You want to make sure that all of your lighting and electrical connections are all up and ready to go. Again, in the beginning of the season, you may find that you're going to need to augment with either new LED lighting or fluorescent lighting, depending upon what you're using. We now are capable of applying new LED lights, which, again, make and add substantial growth to your plants earlier so that you'll be ready to take them to market and hopefully have vegetables sooner and quicker than your neighbors. It's also a good time to check your thermostats to make sure that they're calibrated correctly. You want to perform a test to calibrate them so that you have that set point at the temperature that you need for your plants, and again, so that it won't get too warm or too cold inside your greenhouse. You want to also inspect your electrical lines and make sure that you have backup fans so that when it does start to get warm, if indeed your main fans go out, you will be able to still keep air circulating and vent the house so that you don't cause harm to your plants. It's also a good idea to take the time to install either a sensiphone or something along those lines where if you do have a power outage, you're able to be notified either through voicemail or through email or the telephone excuse me, that you've had a power outage so you can get over to the house. And again, if it's a heat problem, you want to make sure that you have some kind of a backup heat system so that indeed your plants won't freeze, or if you're in the middle of the summer and your vents go down, you want to make sure that your plants don't get too hot. Cleaning also is very important. You want to make sure you take the time to disinfect any areas that you will be using, benches, pots, potting areas. Recommend a weak bleach solution that you use and can scrub with either one of those little scrubbies. We also have parlor brushes that are normally used in milking parlors that do a great job. You can also use a mild dish detergent to make sure that you eliminate any kind of algae and dirt or grime that has accumulated. Also, it's very good if you've had snow up against the house. You want to take the time to remove any salts that may have rubbed off or accumulated on the polycarbonate or sides of your house. Again, it's important to make sure that everything is lubricated so that you'll be ready to run. This also is a perfect time, as I mentioned, to evaluate what you've got in inventory and what you may possibly need. It's a time for you to take a a look at all the different catalogs and options that we offer and see whether or not you need any kind of soil, any soil mixes, any kind of seed starting, any greenhouse flats, six packs, shelving, anything that you might need to have in order to make your growing season a successful one. Why should you choose Grower Supply? Well, once again, we're an American company that's been here for the last 35 years. We're not going anywhere. More than happy to answer any questions or anything that you might need. Certainly help you find. Have one-stop shopping where we can provide everything from soup to nuts for your greenhouse growing. We're proud of the fact that we have a national account manager system where we hope to develop a relationship with you as a customer so that not only do we get to know you, we get to know and anticipate your needs. We offer in-house flexible financing, so if indeed it's time to recover one of your houses or several of your houses, and you know that it's spring season, so you don't quite have your money yet, we do have interest-free programs where you can finance 1 to 2 years, no interest, and occasionally with no payments up front. You can speak with your national account manager in regard to whether or not you can qualify for that. It's just as simple as filling out a quick credit report and sending it over to us. At this time, I guess that's pretty much everything that I have to say. I'd be more than happy to entertain any questions that you might have. Just going to take a quick break here to grab a little sip of water, and I'll be right back. Great, welcome back. And again, thank you for taking time out of your busy afternoon to spend time at our webinar. A couple of questions that have come across is, what should I do if I find a crack or leak in my greenhouse's glazing? Depends on what type of glazing you have. Again, if you're having a greenhouse film, we do highly recommend our greenhouse pear tape. It comes in 2-inch, 4-inch, 6-inch, and 10-inch widths by 108 feet. What I often will recommend is that you actually punch holes around the rip or tear that you may have so that you can take a piece of tape on the inside of the film and on the outside of the film so it has a chance to stick to itself so they get a nice good seal. As far as crack and polycarbonate is concerned, we do also offer a silicone that can be used to seal up any kinds of cracks or leaks. How do I determine what percentage of shade cloth needed? Again, it really depends on what it is that you're growing and what the plant's requirements are. If you notice in our catalog, there is a graph that talks about the different shades and the different shade levels we offer. For instance, 30% is recommended for plants that don't necessarily, need a fair amount of sun, such as snapdragons, chrysanthemums, or geraniums. 40% is usually recommended for most of your bedding plants, caladiums, which are a little bit more of a shade-loving plant, and lilies. Then again, 50%, which is pretty much standard for azaleas, begonias, poinsettias, or orchids. And then you can also get into your higher grades where 60% is used for a lot of the shade-tolerant plants such as rhododendrons, ferns, and dieffenbachias. 70% for livestock, as I said, and then 80% would be more used for protection of the sun for livestock, pets, people, horse barns, and then 90% are really used more to shade out the sun for human comfort. How difficult is calibrating a thermostat to my fans and heaters? It's fairly easy. Again, it depends on what type of thermostat you have in your house, but for the most part, most thermostats come with instructions on how to calibrate. If indeed you don't have instructions, you can give us a call and we can walk you through that process. It's something that should be able to be done right on site, and you don't necessarily need any kind of an electrician to do that, it's something very easy to do. What type of power out alarm would you recommend? Again, it depends on what your budget is. We have one that's a simple plug-in farm tech model that just sends out a high-pitched noise, or you can get, which is very inexpensive for what it does. I think it's $29.95. Or you can get involved in the sensophones, which start off in the $300 range and can go up to as much as you want to spend. The power out alarms, again, are pretty much simple. The sensophones, you can program those for notification for many, many different options, such as if it gets too hot, if it gets too cold, what the humidity is, if water leakage, all different things. And again, all of that information is conveniently located in our catalog, and it's fairly well explained out there for you. Last question that we have today is, does Wonder Soil or its expanding product mix have a shelf life? Not that I know of. Again, I personally have used Wonder Soil in my pots and have it left over for a year or two in my basement. I've kept it cooling out of the sun, and it still works as well now as it did when I first purchased it from Farm Tech. Again, can I use leftover product? Yes, I would encourage it. May want to augment with some new fertilizer, such as Osmocote or something along those lines, just so that you know that your plants will get the correct amount of nutrients that they're going to need as they. That's about it for today. So again, if there's any questions you have, please don't hesitate to email or call me. You can reach me directly at 1-800-327-6835, extension 207. Or you can also reach me at my email address, which is shown on the screen. Thank you very much for attending today, and happy growing.
Well, welcome all to your plants will thank you for it. Thank you, Nicole, and we certainly all should give Nicole a round of applause here for all of her hard work and dedication for bringing us together and making it all possible. Thank you, Nicole. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and my experiences in growing and with the growing supply team. For the last 3 years, I've been with the company. I started as a national account manager, and now for the last year have been the sales team leader, as Nicole said, working with our reps and training them and getting them on the floor and getting them to bring all the great information to you guys that you need to call in. Prior to that, I was digging in the dirt, doing my own farming, 100 acres of fruit and vegetables, and well, it wasn't all dirt. We were doing some hydroponics too. So a lot of growing experience. And one thing is that I've really been on both sides, because prior to working here, I was doing the farming and I was a loyal grower supply customer. So have used a lot of the products and sold a lot of products. It's really helped in getting myself knowledgeable with the company and our customers. I do have to say that this responsibility of speaking with you guys has quickly become one of my favorite things to do. I started in the sales process and speaking with customers on a daily basis, but since changing the roles, I haven't been able to have too much interaction with our customers. So always really happy to speak with you guys and answer any questions that you have. We're going to go over a few things in the webinar today. We're certainly going to talk a little bit about Grower Supply as a company. And then we're going to get into raised beds and really gardening in raised beds, the advantages of that. And then we're going to talk about composting and all of our composting items that can really help you be very successful. And then, of course, why to choose us and what we can help you in your growing operation. A little bit about our company here. We have 2 locations you can see there, one in South Windsor, Connecticut, where Nicole is right now, and then our manufacturing and warehousing out there in Dyersville, Iowa. So South Windsor, we're in the north-central part of the state here in Connecticut, and Dyersville is actually on the Iowa-Wisconsin. We are one of the nation's leading manufacturer of greenhouse, high tunnels, horticulture buildings, and growing supplies. proud to be owned and operated here in the United States. So let's actually get down to the nitty gritty here and what you guys are here for today, and learn a little bit about our raised beds. And let's first talk about really the advantages of raised bed gardening. Um, so it's exactly as it says, raised beds. So think about your garden bed raised off the ground. And the specific advantages of that is, one, let's start with the plant's roots. So you want to be able to get well aerated, get oxygen to those roots, and raising those plants off the ground and getting them in one of our raised beds is one of the most effective ways to do it. You can certainly make the most of your space with a raised bed, certainly reducing your plant space. So if space is something, whether it's your small backyard, or you're just trying to get as many crops as you can in your acreage, raised beds can certainly help you to do. You're certainly, of course, have a lot of control over what you're putting in your raised bed. Your soil, the type of soil, and how you're feeding, irrigating, all of that, control is very evident with raised beds. You're going to get the better root growth, and of course the drainage when you have that off the ground. Um, it's going to You're going to have that garden a little bit higher, a little bit closer to you. So let's not think about that kneeling and that bending down. Really going to help you with some of that. So at the end of the day, not only are you going to be tasting those vegetables, you won't be. And what we can help is extending with your growing season. Um, we can start earlier with our soil warming cables and any type of covering um, over the raised bed, and of course extending the season, same things. So certainly something to think about if you're in a cold weather climate. So we really offer two types of raised beds. Um, Really, our first one, our Polymax raised bed kit, and if you are following along either with our stock numbers online or in our catalog, we have the 106457 all the way to 665. And like we said, we're going to get all of the advantages of raised bed gardening, plus with a beautiful finished look. It's made out of our composite lumber, which has a 5-year warranty, and it has all the stackable joints, the anchor joints. We can go up to 3 tiers. So think of a 4x8, 4x16, a 4x24, and then we can stack those in 1, 2, or 3 tiers. So if you're looking to grow maybe root crops, we're gonna probably recommend our 3-tier kit. More bedding flower plants like that, a 1 or 2. Um, and we can certainly easily expand or heighten any of these at any time. So the ease of use is excellent. The other type of raised bed kit is certainly a little bit more cost-effective option, especially if we're doing multiple raised beds and specifically working in high tunnel for green. It's a real simple kit, really easy to work with. Uh, Outer edge is made from our 36 mil industrial fabric, extremely durable, and then we provide our 1.315 OD ground post, which corners and sides of the raised bed up. Um, Once again, easily expandable, easy to work with, easy to move at the end of the season, certainly to add on to. So if you're looking for something more cost effective on a larger scale, I would certainly recommend the commercial raised bed. Now, one of the things that we talked about as the advantage of raised bed gardening is certainly the ability to control your soil conditions. And one of the great ways to do this is to be able to control your irrigation. And I would recommend nothing better than drip tape irrigation. For the past 10 years, I've used drip tape irrigation in probably 90% of the crops that I grow. And you can just see a dramatic difference in the quality of the crops that you're growing when you're able to really control that crop's water source. So drip irrigation is simply a strip of hose that runs along the base of each of your rows. Very cost effective. It's 6 cents a foot, and it really allows you to control your water to that plant. So one thing, water control. Secondly, disease control, and the quality of the fruit or vegetables coming. You're using drip irrigation, absolutely. Um, and don't forget about the water saving. These days, we're all very environmental conscious. We're all living really close to each other, and we want to make sure that we're not wasting water. So, drip irrigation is an excellent. Same thing with our weeper hoses, and that's as simple as hooking up a. It's got a male garden hose attachment that you screw right onto your hose spigot and run it to whatever area that you're trying to water. So once again, very effective getting water exactly. Um, a couple additions that you can make to further improve your raised bed gardening. If you're someone that has, we're talking about burrowing rodents, and I'm sure some of you who's been in gardens, whether it's mold, any type of animal that's going to dig, a wire mesh is perfect for lining the bottom of your raised bed, so they can't burrow up underneath there and steal those plants that you've worked so hard on. Another thing that we can do is we can add ground cover. We have a lot of different options as far as ground cover goes. And when you control the weeds in your garden, you're going to have a healthier plant. As all of us know, we've certainly gone out there with the hoe or even just pulled weeds by hand. Um, Clear weeds away from our plant. We know that the plant is getting all of that nutrients, not sharing it out with any of them. So certainly weed control is a must for a healthy, happy garden. Um, and the third thing, which I mentioned earlier, as far as expanding your growing season, using our soil warming tables. And we know that some of us in northern climates, here in Connecticut, that we have to wait for a certain day, certain temperatures for our soil to get to in order to start planting. We can certainly speed that up with our soil warming cables. They work great outside and plug into your traditional 120 power source. Very easy to work with. Who doesn't want to get their tomatoes or their veggies started early? We have, as far as some of the additions that can be made to the raised beds in order to, again, expand our growing season and protect maybe from early frost, late frost. We have our mini cold frames and our mini cold frame kits. So just really simple rafter systems that we can either add over our plants or attach to our raised bed system, which allow us, one, to that area a little bit quicker and kind of help with some of that soil warming, and two, protect from frost. Anyone who's planted tender plants early and have them knocked out, come outside and see them shriveled and brown from a heavy frost either early in the year or late in the year, it can be a little bit disheartening. So we can certainly help you with that with our mini cold. And one item that I've utilized for many years is row covers and frost blanket. I've grown acres and acres of sweet corn, and we would always row cover our sweet. It helps warm up those soil temperatures a little quicker, protects that tender young two-leaf corn seed from frost, and it helps really bring plants sometimes as much as a week to 2 weeks earlier. So again, if you're looking for that frost protection and being able to start a little bit earlier in the season or go a little bit longer in the season, row covers, frost blankets, and our mini. Uh, we know that our the health of our soil is, of course, tremendously important to growing healthy plants, and we want to know how, exactly what's going on with our soil so we can make the right additions, amendments to that soil. So we offer a great selection of monitoring where we can nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, soil fertility in general, and moisture. All these things, of course, really important to knowing exactly what's going on with the soil and what to add to make our plants. We carry HANA, which is really the flagship of the industry as far as soil monitoring goes, and a great line of soil testing material. So if you do have any more technical questions, contact myself or any of our. Another great material and one of our best selling among our employees here is our Wonder Soil. And for those of you who haven't had a chance to check out our Wonder Soil, you can either click on YouTube and pull up Wonder Soil and watch one of the YouTube videos, or check out one of our videos online. It's an amazing soil medium and made up of unbelievable material, which is really beneficial to growing, either strictly in the Wonder Soil or as a soil amendment. When we talk about Wonder Soil and what it's made out of, a lot of organic material, worm casting, and it's got these amazing polymers in it that help with water retention. So you can see that it's a compressed material, dehydrated, and when you add water, it expands up to 9 times its size. So we work with different wafer size. We have reground, we have the bricks. So whether you're working in a raised bed, whether it's potted, like I said, or even just amending your own soil to add in some extra fertilizer, water-saving polymers, Wonder Soil is a great tool. One of the things that a lot of us backyard gardeners do is we have compost piles. And compost can be a very effective soil amendment and add very beneficial back into the soil. And one thing that's great about compost, right, is that it's free. And that we're all using material every day that we can create our own compost. Really what compost helps us do is it helps add organic matter back into the material, back into the soil, and we can get a lot of nutritional value from that. So compost helps great with your nitrogen levels and puts that organic material back into the soil, which a lot of plants. One way that a lot of people add these back in is compost tea, and really it's as simple as steeping. If any of you are familiar with drinking tea, is just when you drop that tea bag into your teacup and let it sit in water. That's what we describe as steeping. So think of that the same way when we're talking about a compost. Is we're really putting our material compost into, say, a 5-gallon pail and adding water to it, and really creating that slurry, that nutritional slurry that we can add to either as a foliar feed for plants or directly to the ground. And what we do is we're just making that concentrated compost from our very own compost material. So certainly if anyone hasn't worked with compost, it's really easy to do. Like I said, just grab a scoop from either your composter or your compost pile, put it into your bucket and add water. Let that steep for 3 days to a week, and then drain the compost out of it, and then simply either spray onto your plants as their feed or add to the base of your pure water. And I think your plants will love you for it. We offer a great range of composters, all the way from just the little backyard composter that you see in the left-hand corner there that can sit on your back porch, and you could certainly add any of the scraps that come out of the kitchen, any of your grass cuttings or leaves, to some of the more industrial-sized composters if we're really looking to really add to our garden in the backyard. And like I said, when we're all very environmentally conscious these days, and being able to create your own compost in your own backyard and add that to your garden and the benefits of it, it really is going to make your plants happy. Having that beautiful harvest at the end of the certainly a great feeling. Of course, we We have a bunch of accessories that come with our compost. The sifter screen is really nice, especially when we're adding a finer compost to some of our beds. And then, of course, obviously in composting, the temperature, there's optimum temperatures, 120 to 150, to create that perfect breakdown, microbial breakdown that we're looking for in the compost. So being able to monitor that temperature and adding heat to create that perfect compost can certainly be beneficial. So why choose Grower Supply? Um, you know, first, like I said in the beginning, we're very proud of being a U.S. company. We've been in business for over 35 years now. We are Our owner was a poultry farmer here in the state of Connecticut. A lot of our sales reps and the people who work here have been in the industry, know the industry, and so we know you guys, and we know what drives you, the problems that you have, and how to solve those. So we're kindred spirits here, and we love helping all you guys out in either solving your problems, growing your business, whatever it takes. We love working with our customers. We can certainly custom decide anything for them as far as growing structures go, and we work with everyone, as I said in the beginning, any backyard grower who's just growing a few plants in the backyard to the very largest commercial growers in the country. Um, so from little guy all the way up to the one thing what is we offer here that's amazing is our financing. It's all in-house, and like I said, we're farmers and we understand what farmers go through, what it takes to be. So we would love to help you with financing. We would love to get that new structure to you, and really grow your business. So please, really, if you have any questions about our financing, speak with our national account manager. They'd love to walk you through the process. Our credit department is very helpful. Any questions? So we just threw a lot of information at you. And if you guys have gotten our catalog in the past or been online, there's 30,000 products. So let's take some time right now. Let's answer some questions that you have, and go from there. All right, guys. Well, we've got a couple questions in regards to our raised beds, and excellent questions. So question number one is, you said that Polymax raised bed kits are made from a composite lumber, which they are, which carries a 5-year warranty. Um, what is the composite lumber, and why is it better to use than regular? So our composite lumber is constructed from 20% wood fiber. It's got two inner supports, which really strengthens it. And really, we see the benefits of it is you're going to have the expanded life of it more than what you would get from your traditional lumber, even with pressure-treated lumber. Now, we know that they've moved away from some of the nasty chemicals that they were putting in pressure-treated lumber, but still, today, we do see, after a long time, especially with wet soil exposed to the pressure-treated lumber, we definitely can see a breakdown in it. So if to describe a similar material as our composite lumber, if anyone has seen the composite Trex that they use for decking, it's very similar to that. So almost it has a wood look to it, but almost a plastic feel to it. And we have had tremendous success for it. We do guarantee it for 5 years, but just like the warranty on your car, it's going to last a lot longer than just the 5 years. Okay, another raised bed question. Is the three-tier kit needed to raise root crops such as carrots? Great question. Um, yeah, and the three-tier is an excellent choice if we're going to be raising any root crops, carrots, potatoes, onions. It really what that gives you, it gives you the depth that you're looking for. So we're looking, if I can describe to you one tier. A one tier is essentially the same as your 2x6 lumber. As we all know, is a 2x6 isn't exactly too wide and 6 high. So it's about 5.5. So when we're thinking about a single tier, we're talking 6 inches high, double tier, 12 inches high, and then 18 inches high for our triple tier. So we really want, when we're talking about root crops, is we want to have the soil depth for them to expand and to produce um, the proper root growth and harvest size that you're looking for. So definitely, if you're looking to do carrots, um, potatoes, onions, go with the three-tier kit. And one thing is beautiful with root crops is that you can really control that the healthiness of the soil, and you don't get that root compaction that you can get on regular ground. And without that root compaction, growing some of those root crops is just amazing, and the beautiful harvest you'll have is unbelievable for sure. Um, okay, one more raised bed kit is to give you guys an idea of how much soil that you're going to need to fill a raised bed. So the question is, how many cubic feet of soil is required for our 4x8 kit? Um, so obviously, for a 4x8 kit, we're going to want to figure out um, the cubic foot dimensions. So you're just going to need to multiply the length, the width, by the depth of the bed. And it's that simple. The 4x8 by the 6 inches will give you the cubic feet of the 4x8. Now we're going to have to double that if it's the double tier of the 4x8, and triple that if it's our triple tier. And essentially we can move that formula forward going to the 4x15, 4x24. We'll take one more question here, and this is going to be about compost. And the question is, if you have pets such as rabbits, could their waste, um, could you use their waste in the compost? Um, yes, you can. Animal waste from herbivores such as rabbits, goats, chickens, it's amazing fertilizer. You're going to get a real high nitrogen content from there, and really nitrogen is what drives your leaf growth of a plant. So it's only waste from an animal that eats exclusively plant material is the one that you're going to want to use as fertilizer. Animal waste from carnivorous animals such as dogs or cats, that's not suitable. So you really want to make sure that you're using waste just from your animals that are eating. Um, when you're adding this into your composting, like I said, your nitrogen content is just going to shoot right up. So I guess that's all the time we have here today for questions. Um, so what's the next step? One, if you've grown before and you have some of these raised beds and you love them, let's expand that raised bed system that you have. If not, please contact one of our national account managers. They love speaking with you. They love to help you out on your project. So you can reach them at 1-800-476-9715, or email us at contactus@growersupply.com. Really love to hear from you. So happy growing. Have a great growing season, and give us a call with any of your needs.